as a man is an individual and he is not an extension of others, it will mean that he will have his own needs, wants, feelings, preferences and desires. He will be on this planet to live his own life. And as this is the case, it can be hard to understand why he would be so focused on his mother and on her needs, because of course he is not here to be an extension of his mother. But even though this is the case, this can just be what is normal. So the man might not even realise that he is neglecting himself, that he deserves to have his own life, and his feelings and needs could generally be a mystery. And so in order for him to wake up, so to speak, and to get out of the altered state, the trance that he is in, he will need to manifest something unconsciously, because he's not going to do this consciously. He's not just going to one day wake up and think, oh, I'm not living my own life. He will need to do this unconsciously, because although living in this way will feel comfortable, most likely there is a small part of him, however small it is, that doesn't want to live in this way, and this part of him could end up creating an external scenario that will allow him to gradually see that he is out of balance and out of alignment with himself. And one of the ways that this can take place is through ending up in a relationship. And so through meeting a woman and starting a relationship with her, he could end up being told by her, because she is on the outside and will be able to see more clearly, that he is neglecting himself and that he needs to start paying attention to his needs. And she could also say that he spends more time doing things for his mother and that he is neglecting her. And in the beginning, if she was to bring this up, his mind could end up being defensive and could simply bat away what has been said. He could accuse her of being selfish or as having something against his mother. But through planting this seed and this seed germinating, he can soon start to see that he is living in the wrong way. And this could be something that takes a number of days, a number of weeks, but gradually he will be on board with this. And this doesn't, of course, mean that he will just be fine after this, because there will be a lot of work that he will need to do on himself. But the first stage will be complete. And at this point, when he does start to get in touch with himself and thinks about expressing himself, he could end up feeling guilty and ashamed, and he could end up experiencing fear and anxiety. So it will be as though what he should be doing is wrong, is bad. But this will just be the result of what took place very early on. So very early on, his mother will have most likely used him to meet some of her adult and unmet childhood needs. And so in the beginning, he will have been in touch with his needs and feelings, and as time passed, he will have lost touch with himself. And if he did express his needs, he may have been punished, disapproved of, and or abandoned. So he will have learned very early on that in order for him to survive, he had to be solely focused on his mother and to please her, because if he listened to himself, it would be too painful. So he had to lose touch with himself and to focus solely on his mother. And this is why, now that he is an adult, for so long, being out of touch with himself will feel comfortable, and he won't be able to, he won't have been able to realise that this was the case, because he will have been conditioned very early on to become estranged from himself, from his body, and to live on the surface of himself. So although he will be an individual with his own intelligence, it will be as though he is a robot that's been programmed to be there for others. And this is because he will have lived for so long on the surface of himself, and this part of him can be conditioned to behave in certain ways, as it will have been, and the intelligence that is in his body, he will be estranged from that due to the trauma that he experienced very early on. So if you can relate to this and you can see that you are estranged from yourself, it is likely to show that this is due to the trauma that you experienced very early on, and you will need to gradually be connected to your body and to inhabit this part of you. But this can take time, because you will need to deal with probably a lot of trauma, and this is not going to happen overnight. So if you can relate to this and you are ready to change your life, please reach out for the assistance that you need so that you can live a life that is worth living, because you are not here to live anyone else's life.